This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for getting up with us on this Sunday. I'm Tim Gordon. This morning on Sunrise, the fight against fentanyl. How Oregon lawmakers are pushing for stronger penalties for people who possess and distribute the drug. Plus, as Portland's housing crisis continues, people from the Montevilla neighborhood weigh in on sanctioned campsites. But first, let's check in with Chris McGinnis for a look at the forecast. Chris?
Good morning. Dark and early out there, Tim, as we give you the live look from our Wells Fargo sky camera. And what you can't tell from this is that it is still dry. Cloud cover is moving in, but we're dry for now. Radar over the last 3 hours, though, beginning to show some light returns along the central Oregon coast. So if it's not raining yet in Newport, and I haven't seen the observation there just yet, but it's likely that it will be very, very soon. As we go out into the metro area here, you can see we're generally dry this morning, but the cloud cover's moved in, and the bigger perspective shows that next batch of rain. It's moving in from the south to the north, and so that will be tracking northward through the morning. We're dry here in the Willamette Valley to start, though. It's 46 downtown, it's 47 in Tigard, and as we slip south in the Willamette Valley, Aurora 46, Amsoil 44. So all of these readings are good. In many cases, 8 to 10 degrees warmer than we were 24 hours ago. So cloud cover has kept us mild overnight after a very nice day yesterday. 68, the warmest day of the year so far. We're not going to be anywhere near that in the 70 forecast. Clouds rolling in, a chance of rain arriving by about noontime here in the metro area, earlier to the south, of course. And then as we go into the late afternoon, the temperatures drop and the rain and the breeze picks up with temperatures dropping through the 50s later today. Tim?
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, Portland police are investigating a suspected overdose death that happened Thursday night. Several reports came in over the span of an hour from the same apartment building in Northeast Portland. Around 10:40 p.m., police were called for an overdose at the Hollywood East Apartments on Broadway and 44th Avenue. That person was okay and did not need to go to the hospital. But then an hour later, medics went back to that building for 3 other possible overdoses. Portland Fire and Rescue says one person died at the scene and one woman was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. Now the medical examiner will investigate. That investigation could take months. Well, Oregon lawmakers are considering a bill that would increase penalties for people in possession of fentanyl and for those dealing the dangerous drug. District attorneys across the state say it would close a loophole and make mandatory treatment a top option for those addicted.
There is plenty of debate about Oregon's voter-approved Measure 110, which decriminalized low-level drug possession, even for hard drugs. But in the midst of a fentanyl epidemic, lawmakers are considering closing a gap that allows for possession of up to 5 grams of fentanyl before it's even a misdemeanor.
I think it's an absolute crisis. It is everywhere within your community.
Dan Primus is the top prosecutor in rural Umatilla County and president of the Oregon District Attorneys Association, which supports House Bill 2645, aimed at breaking the grip of fentanyl. In Umatilla County, with a population of 80,000, Primus says law enforcement seized a record 72,000 pills containing fentanyl last year and are on track to break that record in 2023, having already seized 54,000 pills.
It's something that we're seeing a steady increase of, and obviously we're seeing the consequence of it with the loss of life throughout the state.
We want to save lives, period. And this is a step towards how do we help do that.
At a committee hearing this week in Salem, lawmakers talked about the bill, which would make possession of from 1 to 5 grams of fentanyl a misdemeanor and anything more a felony. It also makes mandatory treatment a provision for offenders charged with possession.
And that's really kind of the hope as well, is to see what we can do about assisting individuals with treatment and going through the treatment process, because we know that is a gap. There's a gap there as well.
House Bill 2645 also sets penalty levels for pills containing fentanyl because that is the form it comes in most of the time. For those dealing the deadly drug, that means there could be tougher penalties, treating fentanyl dealers the same as heroin dealers in court.
You want to prevent those that are supplying and quite frankly killing those within your community with this addiction issue. And this bill allows for that as well.
Well, the bill does have bipartisan support, and the next step comes on Thursday when the Senate Judiciary Committee has a work session on HB 2645. Well, a man experiencing a mental health crisis was hit at slow speed by a Portland police vehicle along I-84 Friday night. Authorities say the man moved in front of the vehicle despite the officer slowing down and trying to swerve. The man suffered minor injuries. Well, while investigating, authorities questioned the officer, witnesses, and the man who was hit. That man told authorities he was jumping in front of vehicles in an attempt to commit suicide. He was taken to the hospital for mental health treatment. No arrests or citations have been issued. Well, if you are experiencing a mental health crisis or know someone else who is, you can call or text the number on your screen right now. It's just 3 numbers, 988. 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, is confidential. And now to Portland's homeless crisis and housing issues. Residents of Northeast Portland's Montavilla neighborhood gathered yesterday afternoon for a town hall meeting about proposed sanctioned camping sites. The focus of the meeting was the city's plan to install 6 sanctioned tent sites. At least one of those sites that was mentioned is near 90th and Gleason. Now, that site's owners say the location is no longer being considered by the city. Meanwhile, 2 other sites along 82nd Avenue, which are owned by Multnomah County, are turning into safe park sites. The county says these sites will give people who live in their cars a place to park, slightly different than the city's plans for housing areas. County leaders say people at safe park sites will have access to services to help them find more permanent housing. Well, during this legislative session, the biggest environmental bills coming out of Salem have to do with changing the way we heat and cool our homes. Many use gas furnaces, and while it wouldn't be a mandate to switch them out, lawmakers want to offer incentives to go electric. So they're promoting bills to make Oregon buildings more efficient and resilient. They would reward developers for using climate-friendly building materials. They'd also improve efficiency in large commercial buildings and help lower emissions in state-owned buildings. But one of the biggest priorities is heat pumps.
Heat pumps are the fastest and increasingly becoming the cheapest way to get both heating and cooling fast. And I think at the end of the day, when we talk about this crisis, that's not something we can address 10 years from now. There are things we have to start doing today.
Now, the bill's sponsors want to see 500,000 more heat pumps in Oregon by 2030. Well, after years of waiting, the University of Portland women's basketball team played their first NCAA tournament game since 1997. The Pilots fell to Oklahoma 85-63, but fans had a lot to cheer for and celebrate. Art Edwards takes us to the Pilot House for Saturday's watch party.
These fans have been looking forward to this day, the day the Pilots return to play in the NCAA tournament, going in as the underdogs against Oklahoma.
This is big. This is big for a small school like this.
They missed their 2020 chance to play at the March Madness, so this is their chance to win a game.
Fans filled the Pilot House on the University of Portland campus. The Pilot House even went all in, adjusting the menu and going with mozzarella sticks and chicken fingers to give the place a sports bar kind of feel. Fans of all ages in the house to watch the action, and they were all in. Team members are the classmates and friends of some of these folks.
The team is really fun to watch. They're really good. I love watching Alex play. I'm really glad that I got into basketball because I never used to watch it until college. And so it's fun because my best friend Maddie is on the team, so it's fun getting to watch her and her teammates play.
Even the president of the university came out to support the team. Before tip-off, he was optimistic.
Anything can happen. We've seen that. The last couple of days. We've seen anything can happen. But our students have been preparing for this. They were denied this back in 2020, and this is their moment.
The fans cheered every time Portland scored a basket. For a while, it looked like the Pilots had a chance for an upset. But in the second half, they fell way behind. Still, there was optimism.
I've seen them pull back in a game where they're down for much more. So I'm hoping that they can pull through. I think they could do it.
But in the end, the Pilots came up short, but the fans are still proud of the team and all it's accomplished. Now, Orlando Sanchez will be along later this hour to give a full recap of the game. Now, speaking of basketball, meet the newest member of Rip City. You can pick him out in the crowd there. The Blazers unveiled a new mascot this week, and it's getting some interesting reactions from the fans. We'll show you after the break. And did you know you can watch Sunrise anytime you want on KGW Plus? All of our news is on Roku and Amazon Fire. Just look for KGW. Add us to your home screen. It's that easy. Then you can stream Sunrise on your schedule. We'll be right back. Welcome back at 6:12. You know, all the talk this week about the Blazers really didn't have anything to do with their season on the court. It has to do with the team's new Bigfoot mascot. See him right there? He's kind of furry, isn't he? In fact, his name is Douglas Fir. Douglas Fir, we'll call him Doug for short. He was unveiled this week, and the team is he is being teamed up with Blaze the Trail Cat during games. As Joe Ranieri shows us reaction to this new mascot, it's a little mixed.
The big talk about the Blazers isn't the win and loss column. It's about the new face that's a part of the team. At Tuesday night's game against the Knicks, the Blazers unveiled its new mascot. Meet Douglas Fir, a plaid shirt, beanie-wearing Bigfoot that stands about 7 feet tall.
It was fun to see not just the reaction when we put him up on the big screen for the very first time, but then as worked his way down to the court and seeing the fans when they get up close and personal and be able to interact on that one-on-one basis a little bit.
In 5, 4, 3.
Douglas came by the KGW studio Wednesday morning and spent a little time on Hello Rose City. Todd Bosma is the director of game operations and events for the Blazers, and says Blaze, the Trail Cat, isn't going anywhere.
That's the beauty of having, two mascots too, is we can send one to the 300 level, one down to the 100 level. We can work different sides of the arena.
So what do some of the fans think of the new addition to the team?
Well, you know who this is, right? What do you think of it?
I love Doug. That's my dog, Dougie Fir, Douglas Fir. It's a great addition to the organization.
Some are already on board, while others
think of this.
Wow.
aren't too crazy about the idea. Either were people on social media. Some wanted to know if he could really help the team out and suit up, while others compared it to the former Seattle Supersonics mascot, who was a Sasquatch. But back in the late 80s, the Blazers' first mascot was a Bigfoot who, according to fans, disappeared. Love it or hate it, let's hope these two guys become fast friends who never leave.
We're here in the Pacific Northwest, so how can we not lean into the Bigfoot sort of mystique and aura?
Yeah, how could we not? Interesting combo. You can catch Doug in action tonight, Douglas, Dougie. You can call him anything you want as the Blazers host the LA Clippers. That's here at Moda. Tip-off at 6 o'clock. All right, let's turn to the weather now. Chris McGinnis up next with our complete Saturday forecast. But first, hey, there's your ski report. Check it out.